The fog was a living presence that morning, thick and quiet, pressing in on the ancient pines that lined the path. I often walk these woods near my home. They're a sanctuary, a place where the world outside seems to recede, leaving only the sound of my own breath and the crunch of leaves underfoot. But on this particular day, the fog had transformed everything. It wasn't just a mist, it was an enveloping shroud, muffling every distant sound, turning familiar trees into ghostly silhouettes. The air was cool, damp, and held a peculiar stillness that hummed with a quiet intensity. I wasn't walking for exercise, not really. It was more for quiet contemplation, a gentle untangling of thoughts that tend to knot up in the rush of everyday life. Each step felt deliberate, my world shrunk to the few feet of path visible before me. It was peaceful, almost meditative, until something shifted in the periphery of my vision. At first, I dismissed it. The fog plays tricks, creating shapes out of nothing, or so I told myself. But then it happened again, a swift, low-slung movement, darker than the swirling gray. My heart gave a little lurch. It was too solid to be a trick of the light, too distinct to be merely a shadow. I stopped, my breath catching, straining my eyes into the vaporous curtain. And then I saw it. Just for a moment, a clearer silhouette emerged from the swirling gray, maybe 50 feet ahead, gliding effortlessly between the tree trunks. It was undeniably a dog, a large dog. My mind, still grappling with the sheer impossibility, tried to rationalize it. A neighbor's dog, perhaps, off-leash. But as it moved, turning slightly, a familiar loping gait, a certain tilt of the head, recognition slammed into me with the force of a physical blow. It was Daisy, my beautiful, goofy golden retriever mix who had left us decades ago. She was a puppy when she came into my life, a fuzzy ball of sunshine and boundless energy, and she'd lived a long, full life by my side. But she had passed away when I was barely out of my 20s, a loss that had carved a deep, jagged hole in my heart that even after all these years occasionally throbbed with a phantom ache. This couldn't be her. It was simply impossible. My Daisy was gone. Yet, as I stood there, rooted to the spot, a second detail solidified the impossible reality. As the dog paused, turning its head slightly in my direction, I saw it. Around its neck, a thick, worn leather collar. The same collar, not just similar, but the exact same collar I had given her as a puppy. It was a sturdy, slightly faded tan leather with a distinctive small buckle that had always snagged a little when I fastened it. But there was another striking difference. This Daisy was bigger. Not just a little bigger, but noticeably larger, almost like she had continued to grow in the intervening years since her passing. Her frame was more substantial, her paws seemed larger, yet her movements, her posture, were unmistakably hers. The impossible paradox of seeing her, yet seeing her changed, was utterly disorienting. A wave of overwhelming emotion washed over me, a potent cocktail of disbelief, profound sorrow, and an almost unbearable surge of love. "Daisy," I whispered, my voice a mere breath in the dense fog. The dog's ears twitched. It didn't look directly at me, not with the focus I remembered, but rather as if acknowledging my presence, perhaps even my unspoken question. Then, with that familiar gentle lope, it turned and melted back into the fog. Without thinking, without any conscious decision, I started walking, then almost running after it. "Daisy, wait," I called out, my voice louder now, laced with a desperation I hadn't realized still existed within me. The world outside myself ceased to matter. All that existed was the need to reach her, to understand, to touch her one last time. But the fog, it was a cruel deceiver. Every time I thought I saw a flicker of her form, it would dissipate. The path twisted, the trees closed in, and within what felt like mere seconds, I was alone again, my chest heaving, tears stinging my eyes. I stood there for a long time, listening, my ears straining for the sound of paws on leaves, for a familiar whimper, anything. But there was nothing, only the profound, almost aching silence of the fog-bound woods. When I finally turned to head home, the experience had shifted something fundamental within me. Was it a trick of my mind, brought on by the isolation and the strange atmosphere? A vivid hallucination born of lingering grief? Perhaps. The logical part of me insisted that it must have been. Yet the emotional resonance, the absolute certainty of what I had seen, refused to be dismissed. That morning in the fog, seeing my Daisy, impossibly larger, wearing that unmistakable collar, wasn't terrifying. It was something far more profound. It felt like a gentle touch from beyond, a whisper across the veil that separates what we know from what we can only wonder about. It wasn't a haunting, it was a connection. It reminded me that love, true love, doesn't vanish with the last breath. It simply transforms, finding new ways to manifest, even if only for a fleeting, impossible moment in a thick, silent fog. It left me with a sense of peace, a quiet reassurance that some bonds truly are eternal. And sometimes, just sometimes, the universe offers us a glimpse of that truth in the most unexpected and mysterious ways. Have you ever experienced something like this? A moment that defies logic but speaks directly to your heart? I'd be so curious to hear your thoughts and stories in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, consider subscribing or following for more stories that explore the edges of our understanding. Thank you for listening.